The cobra doesn't chase. It doesn't have to. Less than a few feet away, a banded mongoose shifts sideways through the dust, watching every movement of the raised hood before him. The cobra follows. Left, right. Then, without closing the distance, it fires. A fine stream of venom flashes through the sunlight toward the mongoose's face. He twists away. For a moment, neither animal moves. The mongoose is famous for challenging venomous snakes. But fame means nothing here. He is not invincible. But this story began hours earlier, when the greatest threat was not venom, it was hunger. Morning arrives over the East African savanna beneath a pale, cloudless sky. Here, the earth is dry enough to crack. Grass that once covered the ground in green has faded to yellow and brown. Insects hide beneath logs, inside hard soil, and around the remains of termite structures. One mongoose digs while another lifts its head. Then they switch. Their strength is not just speed, it is numbers. But the dry season is making every meal harder to find. The group must travel farther. And farther from familiar shelter, every patch of grass can hide something they have not yet seen. The morning hunt continues. Our male stops beside a piece of fallen wood and pushes his nose beneath its edge. Movement. He digs. Nearby, another mongoose scratches through loose soil while juveniles follow the adults, investigating the disturbed ground. For them, survival begins with repetition. Search, dig, listen, move. Banded mongooses are opportunistic feeders. Insects form an important part of their diet, but other small prey and available foods can also be taken. What matters today is finding enough. The sun climbs higher. Shade contracts beneath the bushes. The group spreads across a wider patch of ground, but it never completely loses contact. Then one animal stops. Its head rises. Within moments, feeding ends across the group. Several mongooses stand alert. Something has changed. A distant movement passes through the grass. No attack comes. After a cautious pause, the group returns to feeding. These animals survive because they can switch from hunger to vigilance almost instantly. Later today, that fraction of a second will matter. By midday, heat shimmers above the soil. The mongooses work along scattered bushes where shade preserves small pockets of activity. Our male digs again. Then a sharp warning breaks the rhythm. Bodies flatten, heads turn. The younger animals move toward cover while several adults remain alert. For a small mammal in open country, hesitation can be expensive. Threats can arrive from above or across the ground. But detecting danger is only the first step. The animal must also judge distance, direction, and timing. Nothing follows. Slowly, the group relaxes. This constant cycle of feeding and watching is costly, but necessary for us. The mongoose must learn when to advance and when to retreat. That distinction becomes critical when the group reaches a patch of dry vegetation. At first, there is only movement. A narrow line passes between brittle stems. Our male freezes. The movement stops too. He takes several steps sideways. A head rises from the grass. Black-necked spitting cobra. The mongoose does not charge. He watches. The snake raises the front of its body and spreads its hood. The message is unmistakable. Keep away. Our male approaches a few inches, stops. Then jumps backward. The cobra turns to face him. Again the mongoose advances. Again the snake tracks him. This is not a contest of bravery. Both animals are collecting information. The mongoose is testing reaction and distance. The cobra is keeping its most dangerous end pointed toward the threat. One mistake by either animal could turn this warning into physical contact. The mongoose moves again. This time, the cobra strikes. But the mongoose is already outside the path of the fangs. The distance closes. The cobra recoils immediately. The mongoose lands, turns, and faces it again. His advantage is movement. Quick advances can provoke a response. Rapid retreats can keep him beyond the strike. A mongoose's reputation as a snake fighter has produced a persistent myth that mongoose simply cannot be harmed by the biological adaptations in mongooses can reduce the effects of some snake toxins, but that does not make these animals untouchable lizards. So our male does what has kept him alive until now. He avoids one.
Neither animal commits to prolonged contact. Then the mongoose moves closer than before. The cobra does not strike.
The mongoose hesitates. There is another weapon here, one that does not require the cobra's fangs to touch him at all. The cobra fires. Droplets cross the space between them. The mongoose jerks his head aside and retreats through the dust. For a spitting cobra, this is an extraordinary defensive solution.
Instead of waiting for an attacker to enter biting range, it can project venom toward a threat's face.
The eyes are especially vulnerable. For an animal that depends on precise vision and split-second movement, losing clear for the first time, the mongoose creates real distance. The confrontation could end here. And in many wild encounters, disengagement would be the safest outcome for both animals. But the two remain in the same shrinking patch of cover. The cobra begins moving toward thicker vegetation. The mongoose follows at a distance, not recklessly, not directly. He now knows that the danger extends beyond the reach of the fangs. The rules of the encounter have changed. The cobra slides toward cover. The mongoose accelerates. Immediately, the snake turns. Hood open, head raised. The mongoose stops. This is the narrow margin on which the encounter now depends. He moves left. The cobra follows. He darts forward and instantly jumps back. A strike cuts through empty air. Dust rises between them. Again, the mongoose shifts position. Again, the cobra rotates to keep its head toward him. Each movement costs energy. Each attack carries risk.
The cobra lowers slightly and begins moving again. The mongoose closes from behind.
The snake whips around. He jumps clear. Another strike misses. For several seconds, nothing happens. The savanna seems almost still around them. The mongoose rushes forward. The snake turns, but this time its body is stretched across open ground. The mongoose reaches toward the rear of the snake, then immediately releases and retreats as the cobra pivots. No prolonged wrestling. No immunity. Just fractions of seconds. The cobra rises again, but its movements are slower. The mongoose continues circling outside the direct line of attack. Another feint. Another turn. Then, an opening. He darts in from behind the head as the cobra changes direction. Dust hides the moment of contact. Grass shakes. A hiss cuts through the dry air. When the dust begins to settle, the mongoose steps backward. The confrontation is over. Not because he was stronger, because for one brief instant, his timing was better. The other mongooses begin appearing from nearby cover. That is what survival of the fittest truly means. Not always the strongest. Not always the most dangerous.